Today's video is brought to you by ablmerch.com. Use promo code CAGES, as in Joe Biden's Kids in Cages, to get 20% off your next order. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, aka AOC, getting really triggered, really flummoxed, really upset, perturbed, whatever you want to call it, during her Instagram live. People were in there asking her, hey, how about them kids in cages? How about the border crisis? How about the surge of quote unquote undocumented migrants, illegal aliens coming to the border at a much higher rate right now than this time last year and the year before that, when you were pictured AOC down at the border crying at this empty fence, okay? You're in this empty parking lot at one of these ports of entry crying. So why aren't you down there right now doing that exact same thing? She got really upset about this and said, hey, if you use the word surge, you're basically a white supremacist. Now, she said quite a bit more than that. So let's go ahead and roll the clip. In this clip, you're going to see the whole context in the Instagram live and what she was saying. After we get done with that, I'll talk about what she said there. Then I give you the rest of my 2 cents, my deep detail analysis, and then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
They want to say, what about the surge? Well, first of all, just gut check, stop. Anyone who's using the term surge around you consciously is trying to invoke a militaristic frame. And that's a problem because this is not a surge. These are children and they are not insurgents and we are not being invaded, which, by the way, is a white supremacist idea, philosophy. The idea that if an other is coming in the population, that this is like an invasion of who.
I would do as president is several more things because things have changed. I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border.
All right, you saw that, you heard that. Now, I don't know where to begin. To back up a little bit, to go back to what I was saying, she was down at the border just 2 years ago, 2018. You saw the pictures. She's crying and, basically about to just have a breakdown right there because Trump was not allowing all these so-called undocumented migrants to flood into the country. He was not allowing the surge to happen. He was not allowing these border facilities to become overcrowded, okay, the way they are right now, with people pretty much wall to wall in little burrito blankets, elbow to elbow on the ground laying down, looking like Moe's, Chipotle, Salsaritas or whatever. He did not allow that to happen, and AOC was upset. So why isn't she upset right now? Okay, that's an obvious contradiction. Now, rather than addressing the actual issue, because if you noticed, she did not answer the question that she was being asked, which was the whole border crisis. Hey, what about that? What's going on with that? She did not answer the question. She just deflected. A typical topic of the left: when we can't answer, when we get caught in clear contradictions, we just go ahead and deflect and say, hey, well, you can't say the word surge because you're a white supremacist. Really? I mean, that's an actual word in the dictionary. You're talking about storm surge, electrical surge. And it's funny how they didn't say that it was a white supremacist talking point when they referred to people that went to the Capitol. Oh, you guys stormed the Capitol, insurgents, insurrectionists. Isn't that kind of a harsh word? And I read a story recently that said that most of the people that were at the Capitol on the 6th are not going to get any kind of charges, but yet they're being referred to as insurrectionists, quote unquote. So aren't you using their terms a little bit over the top for what happened? But that's a different story, and I digress. The whole point is that there is a surge at the border. Okay, it is what it is. It's a much higher rate than it was the last time. It's too many people. You're becoming overcrowded. You have to open up new facilities that Trump had closed because there was no surge, because of the surge that's happening right now. It's clear. So to use the word surge is not somehow racist. It's not white supremacist. It's just a matter of fact. It's an accurate descriptor term for what's happening right now at the southern border. That's just a fact. And then she wants to pull this whole, oh, their kids and their babies, all this and that. You want to pull that card for real? Okay, I'm seeing some grown men, full beards, wives, kids, the whole nine. I'm talking about some, oh, I'm 19. Really, you 19? Are you 16 for real? Okay, sir. Meanwhile, you got gray hairs in the beard. You got, come on. You, if you are a teenager or something like that, you're not a child in the sense like, okay, you're rolling around in some type of Hot Wheel or playing with Barbie dolls. You're not that kind of child. You probably already got about 3, 4 kids in the whole nine. You're not a child in the sense of the United States. And you're probably not a child in the sense of actual legal age. If you have no identification on you, nothing that can actually show that you are the age you say you are, how can anybody know that you're actually a child? You could say, yeah, my name is Jose Gutierrez and I'm 16. Meanwhile, your name is, I don't know, Juan Pablo and you're 45 years old. How's somebody really going to tell unless you're obviously old or if you don't have any kind of identification, what's going on? Now, as far as little babies, the people that are obviously children, you have a lot of human trafficking victims. You got a lot of sex trafficking going on. The cartels are behind it. And a lot of these kids are being bought and sold. Sometimes their own parents will sell them to the cartels. So when they say, okay, the unaccompanied minors, what does that really mean? It can mean a variety of different things. You can have the 16-year-old, quote unquote, that is really probably about 25 with a whole wife and 3, 4 kids. Then you may have the actual little kids, little boys and girls that are being trafficked over for illicit purposes, that are being put to the front because if there's a kid inside, then they'll be sympathetic to let them come on in. And then you have about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more men that come in right behind it. They say, oh, I'm the uncle, I'm the brother, et cetera, et cetera. I'm the father, right? That's kind of what's going on. I don't want to hear this whole thing about, oh, they're children. That's not a valid excuse, right? It's just not. And then going back to the word surge right quick, like I showed you in the video, Joe Biden has used the word surge. As a matter of fact, he encouraged the surge at the border. Many others in the Democratic Party, AOC's colleagues, have used the term surge to describe what's happening right now and or to describe what they want to happen at the border. So why is it not a thing that is harmful when your own colleagues use it, but it is harmful when those that want to criticize you are using it? And at the end of it, you need to address the criticism. I don't want to see you talking about how you care about these kids and because in 2019, you were at the southern border crying a river about the kids not being allowed in. But now when they are allowed in and they're packed from window to wall, all of a sudden the whole kids in the cages thing is not even really a problem. People like AOC and many others, they switch how they feel politically when the climate suits them. Okay, back a couple of years ago, you still had Trump in office. So anything that was going on down the border, okay, I'm going to go out here, I'm going to fake cry because I want to blame Trump. I want to blame Republicans. I want to blame the white man. Okay, now you got an even older white man, an actual racist white man in there, and you want to defend him. It's funny how that works. So as I close, I want to say this. People like AOC, Nancy Pelosi, and all the rest of them are just bogus. Okay, people like Chuck Schumer, Hillary Clinton wanted the border wall. They voted for border wall. Parts of border wall, border fencing were built under their particular terms, their administrations. But now that Trump wants to have border wall, all of a sudden it's a problem. Okay, when Trump did not have kids in cages or had less so-called kids in cages, when Trump had more of a humane way to do with it that actually stopped some of the human trafficking, that stopped some of the drugs, because one thing about this border surge, which is what it is, they surge these people at the ports of entry or by the ports of entry to attract the border facility people, the border patrol, to take care of them, get them to where they got to go. Meanwhile, when that's happening, there won't be any border security right there, so you're able to just move in drugs and do whatever you want to do. Sometimes some of these people have drugs on them and get them into the interior of the country. All right. So rather than support Trump and his fight against that whole thing, you want to attack him and then support the guy that is allowing human trafficking, sex slavery, drugs, and everything else just come pouring in the country. All right. But that's politics for you, 101. It's of no surprise to me when it comes to somebody like AOC, somebody that is a job killer, kill all those Amazon jobs off, wants $1 trillion minimum wage, which will kill more jobs off. You have people in there that are activists. They don't even know what they're actually, what their activism goal will bring. Maybe they don't care. Maybe there's a deeper play here that I don't see. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that AOC was being genuine when she said that that the term surge comes from white supremacy, it's racist, and these are children, all this and that? Was she genuine in her talk on the Instagrams? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or was she not genuine, just making up stuff? Because it changes from year to year. 2 years ago, she was one way. Now it's a whole different way. You want to go down to the border and cry and all this and that when there was less so-called kids in cages. But now that there's more so-called kids in cages, you're making excuses for it. It's so dumb. But you guys pretty much know where I stand. I think people like AOC and many others are just fake. They're phony. They'll say whatever they have to say for the time. If it means that they have to go down there and cry about the border, they'll do that. If it means when the border situation is worse, that they got to be defiant and real big, bad, and bold and brave, then they'll do that as well. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.